Welcome back to the Packers Corner. Schmitty, your birthday wish was granted. We have a kicker, my friend. Boy, did I feel confident seeing McManus come out there this week. I had a different feel, different vibe about it, and he got it done. I'm going to just lead off right away, though, with my golden cape. Actually going to be Danny Whelan here. Let's take a look at the hold that got us the victory. Instead of an intro, I want to admire his handiwork here. We'll see you on the other side. There, of course, was the game-winning kick from last week, a week ago. Exciting to see that go through the uprights. We left a lot of meat on the bone there. I'm sure we're going to get into all that, but at the end of the day, hopefully we can learn some lessons from a win, which isn't always the case. Schmitty, what was your reaction to seeing that kick go through the uprights, my friend?
Dude, to have an operation now on special teams that you can rely on, it felt like when we watched Carlson, when we watched McManus, or when we watched Narvi, the ball just had like a sidewinder. It would just bend every which way. McManus, everyone looked clean. Even the practice, the iced field goal that he made before the actual one. Should we be undefeated if McManus is on the squad for the entire season? It's hard not to say no at this point. So to have him now, knowing that it's just another very important piece to a Super Bowl puzzle, I'm very, very thankful that we got him, and that Goody's probably tuning into Packers Corner. We've been clamoring for this guy for weeks now. He finally got off the schneid, and now we got a real kicker. So I'm really, really happy about it.
This was the guy we wanted. It came through. It looked awfully good this week. Dad, let's jump into just reactions from the whole game here and walk through the highlights and some things that way. But what were your takeaways from this win against the Texans?
Well, I like that hot take here, starting right off with the green and gold cape. And I would just add on Mr. Whelan, our punter, he may have had the single most impressive punting exhibition that you ever want to look for. He averaged a net of 51 yards. I think it's the second best ever. It was probably some game in the 40s with the wind blowing off of Michigan, and I'm behind every punt. That was the only one that was better. He absolutely
the frozen turf or something,
Yeah, he flipped the field. I mean, he had almost 300 yards of field position in punting, and you can't even imagine it, except that in a game that's this tight, where our offense stalled out in the second half, our defense was just fabulous, and then our punter. So what a fantastic performance by him. But I guess I'm getting into some of those other things. Jeff Hafley, a green and gold cape for you, sir. And I understand he got a game ball from the coach, rightly. So look at this. There you have it right there. He's got 7 guys on the line of scrimmage. Finally, Schmitty, we were talking about this for ages. Get 2 guys in the A gaps, do a little bit of B flow there. Is that what they call them over there in Minnesota? And pressure. Let's dictate to the other team instead of them dictating to us. And it was masterful. Was that Justin Fields? Was that the Ohio State quarterback we were facing over there? It looked a lot like Justin Fields to me.
I saw that highlight for them here where he threw the ball to Dalton Schultz and he got, about 30 yards. That was half their net passing yards for the game on one play.
CJ who? Stephen who? I mean, unbelievable. Just absolutely here. Yeah, there's the sourpuss right there. You can't get any better look on an opposing quarterback's face than that one. And it was brutal because our defense came to play. So it's beautiful to know that we can win the game, Schmitty, when our quarterback's a little off in the second half. It's hard to say he's off 3 touchdown passes, but not really ready to go in the second half when we needed that extra score. So we get it done with defense and kicking. This team's starting to shape up. And I'll just say this, gentlemen, our Green Bay Packers have not played anything close to a single complete game this year. Not close. There is so much more out there for us, and that's fine. We want to peak at the end of the season when it's time, but we have not begun to tap into the potential of this team.
Schmitty, what'd you think about our quarterback, Jordan Love? We had a little bit of, he was kind of like you, a little bit of a yo-yo, my friend, but he had some impressive throws for sure. We had a couple that went against us. How do you quantify his efforts?
Griffey, I mean, he should be top 5 for MVP race, and he's honestly, you're leading the league in touchdown passes, missing 2 games. He also has the most interceptions, so we're on a roller coaster ride, seemingly with number 10 at the helm. But the arm talent, we've talked about it now for a couple seasons. I mean, that touchdown to Tucker Kraft, I mean, that reminded me that was an Aaron Rodgers, a hybrid of the two. And just an unbelievable ball. And like, I don't think we really appreciate that fourth quarter field goal drive that we had to put together. We got the stop against the Texans, and we just thought that we were like, it was our game to win now, and we were going to have no problem doing it. Sure, McManus made me feel really good going into that minute and 45 seconds that was left on the clock. But Jordan had to orchestrate that thing to get down to the field and to put us in position. And so for him to do that, I couldn't be more pleased with his performance. And we don't know if he's 100% just yet, which, to Gar's point, like, we haven't seen this all come together. Jordan Love, outside of the Eagles game, maybe he hasn't been 100%. And so if he's just continuing to ascend and get healthier, we have the best quarterback in the league, and no one could convince me otherwise. So really, really pleased with the team. Even the O-line, they take a big piece to keep him upright. They gave up a couple sacks, but only just a handful on the year total. So that's important that they do their job so that number 10 can do his.
Schmitty, you had me riled up with some of the things you were saying in the group text, slandering our quarterback, and so that was a bit. I'm here. I thought that was maybe. You said, I'm not so sure. I wouldn't rather have Caleb Williams was one of the texts, and that you weren't serious.
Does that? If anyone wants to, I'll put a camera on me for a game and watch me do my work. Griffey, I can't stand when we turn the ball over in some of the ways that we do. Some of the decisions that he does make, it is concerning. He's not that far removed from that San Francisco interception. So, like, knowing that that's in him, it's a concern, yes, but he is really, really talented. You would hope that you could attest some of this to the injury. I don't know what if he gets more accurate with time. So, yes, I get very concerned when I see some of these interceptions, but he's a hell of an arm, and so I wouldn't want anyone else on my team.
So that, just to clarify for the record here, so that was serious in the moment, but it was a knee-jerk sort of a deal.
Griffey, you've watched the game with me many, many times. Of course, it's all knee-jerk. I go crazy. I'm bouncing off the walls in here, Griffey. I need to be iced down at times throughout the game. My face is in the carpet. I got rug burn. It's terrible. I got scratches. Griffey, it's a painful thing to watch a Packers game. I bear it, Griffey, because I love the green and gold. That's a thing that I take on that burden every Sunday because I love the team. But Jordan can't keep doing this to us, Griffey. He can't be throwing 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions every week. Griffey, the toasters are out of the house right now. That's how good I feel about this team. But they're not. They're in a tote right in the garage. I know where it's at. I'm the one that put it in there. So throw us 3 interceptions next weekend against the Jaguars, and the toasters are going to be hanging from the ceilings, and I might be as well.
Oh, man. Okay, well, balanced as always. I'm glad we got that established. Dad, I want to get your take on the last throw we had towards the end of the game. I've seen kind of differing opinions on this, but where Jordan took a shot at the end zone, and my thinking was there, let's forget about the kicker. Let's win this with a touchdown and walk it off that way. What was your reaction seeing that throw? A lot of people were pretty nervous when they saw Love let that one go and thought it was overly aggressive.
Well, J.T. O'Sullivan broke that down on the quarterback school, and he's just in love with Jordan Love like Schmidt is, and also Coach LaFleur. O'Sullivan can't stop gushing enough about the design with LaFleur. And if you look at that play, you analyze it, there was a little pressure off the left side. Had Jordan stepped up and thrown that ball to the right, Wicks had all kinds of room to run to the right from the middle of the field to the sideline. He had to run right by the guy guarding him, but Jordan threw it up in the middle of the field. And, this kid's still learning. there are so many layers to this offense and so many plays that the repetitions will click in. A play like that later in the year, we've seen it before. You'll see that ball go to the right, Wicks will run under, touchdown, game over. So I have no problem with it. I think we all recognize that Jordan Love is not Aaron Rodgers, and that's probably good. That he's not afraid to let the ball go and trust his arm and trust what Coach LaFleur has schemed up for him. And I think sometimes that's refreshing. Sometimes it's not so good, Schmitty, when it goes the other way. Sullivan broke down that first interception, and he said, just give the Houston credit. They jumped that route. They had a guy breaking tendency on the coverage. Second one, Jordan overthrew it a little bit. There was some pressure up in his face. And so I think you will see him stop throwing so many interceptions. He needs to do that. But he's learning, and I like the fact that he's willing to let that ball go. I don't know if you guys watch the Jets. Oh, my gosh, it's a macabre occurrence. It's like watching a train wreck. It's like following an ambulance. It's just what limbs are going to be severed in the road, and what kind of a bloody macabre scene are you going to come on? And guys, our buddy Mr. Rodgers it's like running the single wing from the 1940s and the 1960s. He's running that old, outdated offense where there's nothing under the center. There's no motion. There's no marriage between the run and the pass game. When he tries to throw a pass over the middle, there's no difference between the levels of the defense because there's no threat of the run, and he just can't get anything done, even with his buddy Devontae Adams gets 30 yards. So are we lucky that Goody's our general manager and not Aaron Rodgers? I'm sorry. I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but couldn't help but make that observation.
Well, and returning back to that deep throw there, Dad, we had a similar throw the previous week to Christian Watson that we connected on deep, and he flattened him out and led him further towards the sideline there, which is what would have been nice to Wicks down at the end of the game. Could have had a walk-off touchdown. My fantasy team would have appreciated that, but we'll take the W nonetheless there. I want to throw out some more accolades and hurrahs and so forth because we had a lot of good efforts on the team this week. But I think Evan Williams deserves to be much ballyhooed after his performances the whole season, but he had a pretty consequential play that I wanted to point out and give him credit for, and that was the 2-point conversion where he comes through, and of course we end up winning by a couple points, and this was the difference in large part. Schmitty, what can you say about Evan Williams and his performance to this point in the season?
Griffey, I'm really, really pleased by his performance. It's kind of just a look into what that whole secondary's been like for the season. That has been my biggest concern last season and this season was how that group was going to respond. And I'm really pleased, as everyone else should be, with what we've put out on tape in our secondary. So kudos.
And Dad, want to get your thoughts on Romeo Doubs. We had the incident a couple weeks ago, and he, to me, looked like the best receiver out on the field there for us. Well, and on either team, you got Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell on the other side. They had Nico Collins out, of course. But boy, did Romeo win. They played a lot of man coverage, and he had a multiple scenarios where he had to just go get us a win, and he did it. What did you think about Romeo's performance?
Well, all the way going back to the Dallas game last year, Romeo has many times risen up and shown he's got the it factor as far as the route running and the hands, right? You never have to worry about his hands. Some of the other guys you do. Wicks has had his problems. Reed dropped a ball that he should have caught for a long gainer, which is rare for him. But yeah, I don't know what had gone on with Romeo, but it looks like it's all water over the bridge now, and I think that's important. I would just point out, we do have a frozen stiff mustache. I don't know if it's time for that yet here, but
let's get into it.
Let's get into it because, Schmitty, you would agree, Griff, you would agree that the kicker has a way of being a beautiful deodorant, because if that kick does not go through, you are lamenting in ignominious fashion the pitiful, inexplicable, unbelievable punt receiving debacle on the part of a guy we love. But I mean, Keyshawn Nixon, have you lost your mind? You can't say from a punt. You got to get in there and fair catch that ball and save the day. Otherwise, between that and the even by our buddy Reed, who catches the ball on the 2-yard line, I mean, those kind of plays, here they go again, and those are the things that are going to lose you a ball game unless your kicker makes the play. Because, you catch that one and Reed, we get the ball out to the 20, those could be scoring drives. We could go on long scoring drives there that make the game look entirely different, but you're giving away possession. So story of the ball game is with 3 turnovers, we lose the turnover batters 0-3. Our kicker makes everything smell right. Jordan Love comes on, leads the drive. The defense is unbelievable. So it's a great team win. But we do have to give out that ignominious frozen stiff mustache, I think, primarily to Keyshawn Nixon. And we need better play out of Keyshawn, or else pretty soon I think Carrington Valentine's going to take your place on the defense, and Jaden Reed's going to have to return punts. But no, I think Nixon will rebound. We need to get him involved. We need to get his head right. We need him getting returning the ball like he's capable, and hopefully that'll happen soon. So, Keyshawn, this is a motivator for you. You get the mustache this week. We want you to have the green and gold cape next week.
Well, and I have a frozen stiff mustache to give out to everyone who was comparing Jordan Love to CJ Stroud. I take great offense to that comparison, and I think CJ Stroud's a good player actually, but he's not on Jordan Love's level. Has been my position on that one, and that's what it looked like out there on Sunday, Schmitty. Now, that was a 1-game sample size, but can we put to bed that comparison? We need to go on to bigger and better comparisons for Jordan Love moving forward.
Yeah, without question. It shouldn't even be like, why? Is this the Packers corner, right? Why are we defending? Yeah, no, it's not a question. Jordan Love, we wouldn't want any other person. We had a good scheme for CJ Stroud, no question. CJ Stroud's going to get his in the league, and I'm very confident in that. But I'll take J Love 10 out of 10 times over CJ Stroud if the chips are stacked up against us and we got to make some plays. I want 10 calling the plays.
Well, I'm glad we got you fired up on that end, Schmitty. I hate to do this and bring you down, but I think we got to talk about the Jets again. We were eager to see what things were going to look like with Davante Adams in the green and white, and I went out on the record saying I thought this was going to be a much improved offensive look for the Jets, and to some degree it looked impressive early on, other than the drop on the first play from Davante. But the way that the defense was adjusting and the Jets controlled this game early on, and then really the tide turned when Garrett Wilson had the worst play probably of his NFL career. He let the ball hit him in the chest, gets picked off. Davante had to make the tackle. I'm sure we'll see it on the highlight here. And then the whole thing just fell apart for the Jets. Dad, I think you hit the nail right on the head. John Kuhn tweeted something similar. The Jets are running kind of an ancient offense. The game has passed them up. Schmitty, did you have a bit of a tear in the eye watching you almost felt bad for the guy?
Griffey, there's 3 teams this year that are must-watch TV for me: the Packers, the Jets, and another. And it really pains me to see Aaron like this. I don't. And now that he has Davante, I'm on Sunday night, had the popcorn ready, had my 7 fingers, and I was ready to watch Aaron Rodgers, vintage Aaron Rodgers. And just we didn't get that performance. It's the first week, but gosh, yeah, does that offense look pretty rough, doesn't it? I mean, hardly. They're using a little more motion now, but with the new offensive play caller. But this is pretty rough.
The best thing they did was dump it off, and Breece Hall got loose a couple times, but it was painful.
And Griffey, I don't want to write him off. I know this is bringing you way too much joy. I can see it in your face that that more irritates me than anything, that you and half the Packers fans that walk this earth, they're all giddy about this. They shouldn't be. The man brought you a bunch of joy in your lifetime. Zip it.
Schmitty, I got to be honest with you. I'm kind of rooting for the Jets. I'm pulling for them. I invested a lot in the fantasy draft in Davante Adams, and I want to see that come to look like a smart maneuver.
And I do too.
I've kind of turned the page. I was sick of Aaron's antics at the end in Green Bay, and I was ready for us to move on. And everyone moved on, and I'm ready to put that behind us. I wouldn't mind seeing these guys in February, but it doesn't look like there's much of a chance of that at the moment. You know, they're in a similar position to when Herm Edwards gave his famous "You play to win the game" speech. I think they were 2-5 at that point as well, and they kind of turned things around that season. But Dad, what'd you think about this Jets game? I think the Steelers are for real. I was questioning their decision to go to Russell Wilson, as I think a lot of folks were. But what were your takeaways from this game?
Well, just another Russell Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers debacle, and Lord knows we've seen enough of them when it was green and gold against that pewter blue or whatever it is over there with the Sea Hags. And so Russell Wilson comes up on top again, and I just have to tell you that Aaron Rodgers thinks he knows it all. He thinks he's got to scheme up the offense. He does, back in the day when he was mobile, the thing that made that goofy shotgun where you survey the field and pick up the matchups, fine. But the only thing that made that work was, remember what made it work? He'd dance in the pocket and then squirt out of the pocket and run to the right and create secondary opportunities. And it's just not working the way it is because the defense knows what's coming. They get into their zones. They have tight zones back there. They don't have to play the run because he's not under center. Nothing's looking like a run. He doesn't have the orbit motion, the jet motion, the whole LaFleur. And in his heart of hearts, he ought to be saying, boy, oh boy, I probably owe Matt LaFleur an apology because LaFleur can scheme up a quarterback. Clearly, the reason Aaron Rodgers got 2 MVPs was because LaFleur was helping him by scheming it up. Not that he isn't a talented guy, but it didn't working with him being the coach and the GM.
No, it certainly didn't appear to be. And like I said, Schmitty, I'm honest. I'm sincere in this. It was a little bit tough to watch that. I want to see the guy have a little bit of success as he, closes the final chapter on his playing career. I certainly wouldn't want him to beat us, but, I think I can move past the end there in Green Bay.
And Griffey, if there's one man that walks planet Earth that could bring them back out of a 2-5 hole to the playoffs and a Super Bowl appearance, it's that man. And no one should question it.
Well, I noticed he didn't go out to, a New York radio broadcast and say, I have a few letters out there for all of you in Jets Nation, RELAX. He didn't give that a shot. That would be pretty funny. That would be bold. But I don't think we're at that point. Those guys, Woody Johnson's got to be losing it. It seems like he is with some of the maneuvers. They trade for Devontae immediately after firing Saleh. And boy, the legacy for Aaron over there might be ugly if they don't turn this around. So for his sake, I do want to see them be competitive at least. A team I never mind seeing being uncompetitive is the Minnesota Vikings here. And they are anything but that this year. They seem to be someone that we're going to have to contend with down the stretch, but so are the Detroit Lions. This was a heck of a game. I kind of had this on the screen next to the Packer game. And this game felt like a little bit more than a regular season to me. Viking Nation is pretty pepped up coming into this one, and they almost got it done against the Lions. Dad, what do you think about our NFC North foes that went at it this week?
Well, I thought that was a huge result for us, and here goes Jonesy again. Looks like the hamstring's okay for another week, and as long as that hamstring holds up and you got Jonesy out there and Sam Darnold, I don't, Schmitty and I were talking about this before we started, I don't see this team shrinking. I think they're going to be in it right till the end. They look like a confident bunch, and we, Schmitty and I kind of talked. They're a little bit of a mirror to the Packers. They got a similar type coach and philosophy, players coach, very innovative on the offensive side. They got a defensive coordinator that's aggressive. The Packers and Vikings look like a very similar type outfit to me. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. And I think, and Schmitty might like this, it might be the Chicago Bears that have as much to say about this division as anybody, in that who gets tripped up by the Bears? Who do the Bears beat 2 times and the other teams don't have that happen? And historically, I can tell you which team that is. Doesn't mean anything necessarily for this year, but the Vikings over the years have struggled with average Chicago Bear teams. So there's a little tidbit, little something to watch as the season unfolds there.
Well, Schmitty, they had the Sonic and Knuckles attack. That's what they're calling Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs going on. And Jared Goff has been playing out of his mind. Some of the best football in a 3-game stretch, maybe ever. Full stop. I mean, he's been incredible. He's certainly got to be working his way into the MVP discussion. What were your main takeaways from this division battle?
Griffey, coaching matters. If you told me tomorrow that KOC and MLF switched places, I don't know how upset I would be, truthfully. That's how much I think KOC is a talented head coach. And I mean, he's doing a lot with Sam Darnold. That wasn't a man that's really put much of impressive tape on the NFL box. So he's doing a great job with him. That's a complete team. And yeah, I don't think that this team withers away, and I don't think the Lions wither away. Jared Goff, Griffey, if you ask your Rams fans when they got Matt Stafford and they won a Super Bowl, that's great. But now, wouldn't you, in a heartbeat, wouldn't you want Mr. Jared Goff back even last season? Jared's playing fantastic, and it's hard not to think that our team and the two that are in front of us here, we're all going to be in the playoffs. And yes, it's the Bears that are going to determine who gets some home games come January. Because honestly, I'm excited. If they fed this to me every Sunday night, an NFC North matchup, let it be the case. Flex all these NFC North matchups every week. They're just going to be that good. And I have respect for both of these teams. The Lions, they pull out a late one here after the Vikings make a great comeback, and that's all without their best defensive player. So I'm thoroughly impressed with both of these teams, and really looking forward to what's to come as we get down the later stretch of this season, where all these NFC North matchups are going to be very tightly bunched together.
Well, speaking of flexing, Schmitty, we played the Lions in a couple weeks, and the NFL flexed the Vikings Colts to the Sunday night game instead of the Packers Lions. I don't know what the heck was going on there. Strange decision as far as I'm concerned. Maybe they knew that Jamison Williams was likely to be suspended for that game. He's got the PED infraction. Is that going to change the outcome of that game for us, Schmitty? What do you think about the news coming down that he might be off the field?
They're a deep group in that wide receiver room. I don't think that Jameson Williams, he adds a nice wrinkle. He's kind of like Watson in that sense, where you have to account for him. He frees some stuff up midfield because he's just taking the top off with his incredible speed. Griffey, I think it's just the lizard people that run this world. They wanted they get to decide who ultimately is on Sunday night, and maybe one of them's the Wolves, and they have enough pull to get them the Sunday night slot. Yeah.
Well, the Vikings have quite a kicker themselves. Will the Thrill, they're calling him, which I don't even know where they got Will the Thrill from. But the KOC said if it was a 67, 68 yarder, they were going to trot him out there at the end. They had this penalty the play before there, but they were going to trot him out to attempt that. Viking Nation is thriving with Will the Thrill. I think we maybe see him let them down when it matters most later on in the year. Well, we'll have to see what that looks like. They have a history of having that happen. We know what that feels like now, but the shoe might be back on their foot. We'll have to see. And like you guys said, we have this guy that I just got a flash up here. This guy lurking somewhere off with the bye week this week, but we'll see how the Bears play. Spoiler and what all that looks like. Boy, I would not want to lose to that guy.
What an
we'll
outfit.
Look forward to that matchup.
What a man. What a
maybe you
sexy
can
man.
don that for us next week, Schmitty. Can you do something similar here?
If the Bears win next week handedly, I might paint my fingernails, Griffey. We might get wild with it. I'll wear a satchel and paint my fingernails.
There we go. That's what I'm going to hold you to. I like that. We got to dive into looking forward. It's a nice recap of the week that's happened. We'll jump into looking forward. Let's start with where the Packers are at, and we'll go around the division. We're going to add a few more picks this week and see if we can pump up some wins for Schmitty. He's hot now. He got his first win of the year. Let's put that up on the board for you. And then we're going to add some more games to the mix so we can see if we can keep the streak going there. But let's talk a little bit about the Jaguars. They are coming off the loss to the Bears, but then the turnaround win in London against the Patriots. Patriots looked awful. Now you got Bill Belichick criticizing their current coach for calling the team soft there. It looks like they got a piece of work there in New England. But the Jags did get it done against them, and now they opted not to take a bye week before this game. So they're coming straight back to the States here to play the Green Bay Packers. They have an awful pass defense. Is Jordan Love going to piece them up, Dad?
Well, he certainly should. And, beware the trap game, right? They always say, but this one should not be a trap game with Jacksonville coming back and the time lag. And you remember what happened to us last year. This is when we went to our 4-game swoon when we came back from London. We looked like we were running in molasses for about a month. And hopefully that's the case with Jacksonville, because it's going to be very easy to overlook that one and look forward to Detroit coming into Lambeau the week later. So Coach LaFleur will have his hands full getting the boys focused, but I think this young bunch should be able to do that because, as I said, and as I'd be emphasizing if I was the coach, gentlemen, you guys haven't played close to your potential. You haven't played, 3/4 of a game, let alone a whole game. You've been playing about a half a game every week, and so as a total team effort, offense, defense, special teams, kicking game, kick receiving game, Jordan Love making smart plays. And one of the big things, Schmitty, that Griff and I were talking about is you got this young quarterback, Jordan Love, and I just want to see a little better situational awareness. When you have the ball in the second half for 3 possessions with a chance to make it a 2-possession game, and you're hunting these big plays, and you go 3 and out 3 times in a row in the second half, you can't have that. You need to start a drive with some short completions, get a first down, get the ball moving up the field, and just have that sense as the leader of the team. Boys, we score right here, the game is over. There comes a time when it's winning time, and it isn't always at the end of the game. Sometimes it's in the middle of the third quarter when you got a chance to put your foot on their throat. And we need to become that kind of team because we have the capability, we have the talent, we have the coaching, and it's largely going to come from the leadership of Jordan Love. So I look forward to that kind of a challenge, and that's what I'd be talking about if I was the head coach this week. We need to start playing like that right now. Anything after this week doesn't matter, and let's start putting our best foot forward and start stacking successes like the former mentor of the Packers used to talk about.
And do they stack it this week? What's your prediction for that one?
Yeah.
Put it on the board.
They're going to get it done. Yeah, it's down in Jacksonville, right? And they're 4.5-point favorites on the road. They're going to win the game 33-17.
You're right. Down to 4.5. Was 5.5 to open. Schmitty, Jacksonville seems like a it seems like one of those. I mean, if this was last year, this would be us going into Carolina and giving ourselves a scare. This would be losing to Tommy DeVito or letting Baker Mayfield light us up for a perfect quarterback rating. Have we moved on past that? Can we beat the teams we're supposed to beat? Caleb Williams got it done. Can we?
Griffey, the Jaguars to start, their defense is really, really poor. Our defense is really good. I like to think that if Hafley creates another scheme just like he did for old CJ Stroud, that we win this game handedly. Unfortunately, part of me, Griffey, the yo-yo that I am, Jordan Love, while we think that a 5-touchdown game is right around the corner for this man and how great he's been, equally, I think that he could be in for a 4-interception game. He's worrying me. Some of these decisions could end up costing you a game like this, where you seemingly should just be a dominant runaway win. That we know this because we've been taking the ball away a bunch this season. If you win the turnover battle, you probably run away with the thing. We just so happened to scheme up a godly looking defensive move by Hafley last week. That we were able to come out with a win. I'm not so crazy to think that this isn't a 1-point game. And so that's what I think it is, Griffey. It's a trap game. We lose, Griffey, 28-27. I can't emphasize enough that Jordan Love needs to get rid of this turnover situation. He needs to have more awareness around him situationally, and so he could be due for another 3 or 4 interceptions this week. And I'm ready for it, Griffey. I'll have the cocktails ready to go, ready to be sad. So this is a loss.
Schmitty, I was trying to tee up an easy win, get the confidence going here. We're going to get it done, my friend. Put your mind at ease. We're going to take care of business. This team is much more mature than we were a year ago. We know what you need to do week in and week out to go to get a victory. And the win we just had last week, we lost it. Jordan Love can throw 4 this week. We just need to get 1 turnover. We'll be -3 in the turnover battle, and we'll win it on another field goal by McManus against his old team, right? He was a Jaguar once upon a time. So let's do that. Hey, no, I'd be happy if we can do it in a little bit more comfortable fashion, but I think there's a pathway to victory like that. Trevor Lawrence has been taking care of the ball a little bit better this year. He only has 3 picks. Maybe we add a tally or 2. It's been a while since Xavier McKinney had one. Isn't he due? Seems like he is. So I look forward to us getting it done. Let's give our thoughts on a couple other games here before we wrap up. We have the Bears and the Commanders. And you know what? We'll tease that. I want to jump into the game that's coming up on Thursday night here, actually. Let's talk Rams-Vikings. Schmitty, we'll start with you. What do you think the Vikings do coming off the loss from the Lions? Do they bounce back against the Rams here?
Griffey, I think this is another trap game for the Rams. Haven't won recently. I'm one of those zigzagging emotional bettors. The Rams haven't put a good game together in a while. The spread is only 3 points. That's a very concerning thing. I would have thought before looking at spreads for the week, I'd like to do a thing. I thought the Vikings would be like 6-point favorites. They're only 3-point favorites. So we gotta the right thing is just to hammer the Vikings, wheel my car over to the pawn shop, sell it, get all the cash I can, acquire cash, 401k, get it all out there, Griffey, because I know that this is a sure thing. It's not, Griffey. If anything's told you, I'm the worst gambler of all time. I'm going to take the Rams money line on Thursday Night Football. It makes way too much sense for the Vikings to roll on Thursday night that it's got to be the Rams. It will be the Rams. We will will it into existence. Rams win 27-17. It's going to be a bloodbath. Vikings fan, I can't wait to listen to K-Fan on Friday morning.
Be a great montage, right? You said your financial advisor told you to take all the equity out of your plan and put it on the Detroit Lions to cover last week. How's that feeling? Did that hurt the pocketbook a little bit there?
Yeah, I fired him. He's since been gone, Griffey. He totally ruined me. So now I got to put it all on black tomorrow morning. We got to double up. We got to keep trying to double up.
You got to zig when they think you're going to zag. Dad, what do you think of this Thursday night matchup?
Well, I would just remind Schmitty that you're supposed to buy low and sell high, buddy. Just keep that in mind. And get that all-terrain vehicle on the investment strategy and save the top 10% of the pyramid for these wild cat ventures where you're going out there betting on the football games. But I hope Schmitty's right about the Rams and the Vikings, but I say the Vikings bounce back. They got a good club. Their coach is going to get them focused. Jonesy is healthy. JJ's healthy. That's all you need to prevail over the hapless Rams who don't seem to have much going over there this year.
Well, those Rams are desperate, though. You can say that for them. They're talking about trading Cooper Kupp is the latest. There's a little bit of rumblings about the Vikings getting Matthew Stafford. Moving on from Darnold was the talk that I saw today. That might be a little bit hyperbolic. I think that'd be tough to make the move at this point in time, but maybe they're really going to be pining for that after the Rams get it done this week. That's what I'm looking to see. I'm in with you on this one, Schmitty. We'll go down with this ship together. I'm not biased at all. This is just my objective take, and we'll see how that works out for me. Let's go back to that Bears-Commanders game, looking like Jaden Daniels might have a tough time working his way back. Sounds like they're going to take a cautious approach. He had the ribs injury. I was looking forward for him to wipe the smirk off Caleb Williams' face and establish and cement the fact that he should have been the first overall pick. Maybe we'll get to see that happen. I'm certainly going to hedge my pick based upon whether or not he's playing. But do you have a take you want to stake on that one, Schmitty?
Griffey, I think it's yes, you want to hedge if Jaden Daniels isn't going to play on Sunday, you can probably write that off. It sounds like everything's going to be okay, that we're going to get the matchup that everyone's been wanting to see. Bears are coming off of a bye week. It's hard. I always like when a team comes off a bye week, they got a little more time to study. Wouldn't it be just delicious if the Bears get blown out by 4 scores? And I think that's what happens. I think we can put this little bit behind us. I think Mr. Black Nails kid, I think we start to question his ability to be a good quarterback in this league, because I think the Washington Commanders absolutely eviscerate them on Sunday. And we can drop them from the tier that is the Lions, Vikings, and Packers. The Bears have no business. They've only beat really bad teams. Now they've beaten them handedly, which you're supposed to do. Washington Commanders roll, and we get to enjoy ourselves on Sunday watching that little afternoon snack, if you will.
I don't think either of us saw that one coming, Dad. What's your take on this game? Did that give me a little whiplash here?
The preeminent zigzagger strikes again. Zorro the Great is writing his zigzagging Z across the sky here. So let me just clarify. There he goes. Look at that. Touch of flair. Savoir-faire is everywhere. And there goes Zorro. Is this at Commanders? Have I got this right? Or is this Commanders at Bears?
I got to look that one up here. I had the matchup. I didn't have the location here.
I thought it was at Commanders, in which case this is going to affect my...
It is in Washington.
Yeah. So the Commanders will get it done. I not necessarily because Caleb Williams, is the culprit here, but I just think the Commanders are a little bit better, a little more well-rounded ball club. But I do expect a close game, be a tough battle right down to the end, and somebody's kicker is going to get it done. And I think it's going to be either Daniels or the kicker for Washington get it done in a tight one at the end.
Well, I am seeing the line here. Vegas has the Bears favored by 1.5 on the road, and I'm going with Vegas. We really are all over the place today. I think Caleb Williams looks good. I think he looks good for a couple more weeks. He's got the Commanders, then I believe they have the Cardinals, and he has one more easy one after that, the Patriots, before they get into the tough stretch. I think people are going to be really heaping a lot of praise on Caleb Williams over the next couple of weeks here after he beats Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota or whoever they trot out there. He beats Kyler Murray and he beats Drake May, and the Bears get themselves right in the thick of it before they have to play the true contenders in the NFC North, and then the bottom falls out for the Bears. So I think they got a little bit more of a season to be optimistic about until it all comes crashing down. That's my prediction there. And we've got one more to dive into for this week. We've got the Lions and the Titans. I think we'll probably have a clean sweep on this one, but Dad, you want to start that one off?
Yeah, boring, not interested, even fun. Just give it to the Lions and let them rest and play again the next week. No reason to play this ball game.
Schmitty, same answer?
It's got to be the Kitties, Griffey. I don't know how. I mean, did you see the Titans? They got a 10-point lead and then just let 35 points get racked up on them. That's an abysmal team. That might be the worst. I'd rather have the Patriots or the Browns franchise if I'm an owner over the Titans at this very moment.
So you're all on the Lions. No, I can't do it. I'm on the Lions too. Lions take care of business there. Without Jamison Williams, they limp through it and get it done. kind of a sour note to end on with that matchup. We'll have to organize that better next week and maybe end with the Packers. Let Schmitty get a zinger in there to finish up. Sure was a pleasure joining you guys here. Do you have any closing thoughts for the fans as we head towards week 8 in the NFL football season here, Schmitty?
Griffey, the people of Jacksonville, great people, Griffey. They really care about their football franchise down there. Now, I'm going to tell them that across the parking lot over in Jacksonville, there's a little baseball team called the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Now, all the fans that were about to walk into the stadium with the Jaguars on Sunday, they're going to host an exhibition game. The Jumbo Shrimp are going to just put on a little show. They're going to play that Bananas team that everyone gets to watch on their feeds on Instagram. Go and do that because it's a foregone conclusion. The Jags are going to win, so you don't even need to show up. You don't need to make noise. Jaguars are going to win. There will be a cardboard cutout of me in next week's episode because the real me will be gone, never to be seen again because we will lose. I will be sad. So just don't even go to the stadium. Enjoy yourself. Have a $2 beer at the Jumbo Shrimps. Don't have the $20 beer for the Jaguars. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your Sunday. That's all I got, Griffey.
Well, I got a closing statement. I'll jump in and let my dad bring it home for us here. But you might recall a nice family, Tommy and Susie, the children. They took a trip off to Washington to watch the Packers once upon a time. Schmitty regaled us with this story. And it didn't go so well for the Packers. I think they decided to take another road trip, cross country, heading down to Florida to bask in the sunshine. And they're going to pull through for us this time. Tommy and Susie, get it done, Schmitty. Dad, what do you have to cap it off here?
Now, we talked, and I'll just reiterate the point that this team has not come close to playing a full game, and I think the coach is going to be harping on that this week. I think he's going to be looking at we haven't come close hardly to experiencing the autumn wind, gentlemen. The autumn wind is a Packer blustering in from the bay with a rollicking song. He sweeps along, banging the drum all day, and the Packers are just waiting for that autumn wind to blow, and they're going to have to wait another week. But we've been preparing for this summer breeze game. We've had endless summer in Green Bay. It isn't going to bother them to go down to Jacksonville, have be 85 degrees. They've been practicing in it every day for the whole season. We're going to get the job done in Jacksonville, and then we're going to come back to that beautiful town by the bay, that idyllic football mecca of the entire North America, and the autumn winds are going to be blustering in off the bay in just over 10 days. And gentlemen, it's going to be a sight to behold. I can barely restrain my enthusiasm for it. And so with that, try to sleep as best you can for the next week and a half. And we're going to wake up for Christmas morning a week from Sunday, and we're going to have Detroit and Packers. But Packers, you're not listening to this. You're not falling into this trap. You're going to just play your ball game Sunday, and then we'll have another chat about it again next Tuesday. It'll be a beautiful thing. And I got the Munster for the cheese-filled cash this week because we're going to be we are going to be Munsters down there in Jacksonville, and that's all I got for you today.
Talk about looking ahead. We're teasing things. I like it, but I hope, like you said, Packers aren't paying attention. And we had the winter warning. Wrong alliteration, but we'll take the W this week nonetheless. And thank you for joining us. We'll look forward to seeing you all next week, boys.
Love you all.